What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do a barbell back squat. The barbell back squat is important for everybody to do because at some point, your body weight isn't enough resistance to increase your strength. And it might not be enough resistance to increase the size of your muscles either. And the goal that most people have is either strength or size, or having both goals, to get bigger muscles and to get stronger. You got to keep in mind that there is a rep range for strength, and that rep range is about 5 reps. As soon as you can do more than 5 reps, you're not going to get any stronger. Strength is dictated by how much you can do for 1 rep. So if your body weight allows you to do 20, 30, 40 reps in a squat, at that point, you're not getting any stronger, and you're likely not going to build any muscle, because building the size of your muscle is called hypertrophy of the muscle. And hypertrophy training has a specific rep range as well. And that's going to be from about 6 to 15, somewhere right in there. So if you can do 20, 30, 40 body weight squats, not only are you not going to build strength, you are also not going to build size. Now, there is some functionality to doing high rep body weight squats, but it's not going to be functional in the realm of getting stronger or getting bigger muscles. At some point, everybody needs to put a barbell on their back in order to progress with their squatting. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So stay tuned. When setting up for a barbell back squat, first things first. And first thing is setting up your cage to be successful. Hopefully you have a power rack or a safety cage wherever you're squatting. If you don't, there's going to be some sort of apparatus to keep you safe when you're squatting, because safety is number one. And if you don't feel safe and secure, you're probably not going to want to push yourself to the degree necessary for you to improve in your barbell back squat. So in the safety cage here, the terminology is these are the hooks. Down below here are the swords. Your hooks need to be set up in a position to where you don't have to do a full squat to take them off the hooks, nor do you have to get on your tippy toes. If your hooks are so high that when putting this back, you have to step up on your tippy toes in order to get them on the hooks, that's not going to be conducive to your safety and security. You have to put them at a height that's going to allow you to do 2 things. Number one, not do a partial rep squat to get it up. If your hooks are too low, you're having to do a partial rep squat to get these off, and you're having to go way down to put them back on. If they're too high, you have to get on your tippy toes. Neither of those are going to be good for you to set up for your squat. For me, that's going to be about a 23 is where I'm going to set the hooks up in order for me to be set up for a successful squat. My swords are at a 9, and this 9 is going to allow me to get to depth, in other words, break parallel. But worst case scenario, if I can't make it back up with the weight, these things are going to save me. The entire point of the swords is to ensure that if you get to a sub-parallel position and for whatever reason you cannot make it back up, then all you have to do is set the bar on the swords like this, and then what I just demonstrated is worst case scenario. So instead of worrying about this thing falling down your back or it hurting your spotter, better thing to consider is just to set these up right. So remember, you want to be able to break parallel, but you also want to have these set up in a position to where worst case scenario, you cannot make it back up. The bar ends up just resting on the swords. The next thing to talk about is bar placement and hand placement. When you're first learning how to squat, I'm going to recommend a wider hand position. So as you're stepping up and getting ready, you're going to have wide hands, and that's going to allow you to open up your chest more for your squat. This is what's called a low bar position, and it's called a low bar position because it's relatively low on the back for a squat, but in raising my elbows, it creates this stable shelf where the bar is not going to come down my back as I reach the top of a squat. One of the bigger mistakes I see people make is just setting this on their neck because that's what's comfortable to their shoulders. Realistically, you want to get the bar as far down as you can up into this point. So between here and here, there's not a lot of room to make the mistake of putting the bar too high or putting the bar too low. So we want to find this sweet spot where we can get under the bar without it being right on our freaking neck bones, but also not so low that it's at risk of just rolling down our back in the bottom part of the position. Now, finding the appropriate place to put the bar on the back is a big issue for most people. If you're working with issues with your posture especially, this is going to be difficult because if you have this rounded forward posture, there's not a chance that with that posture, you're going to be able to get the hands back on the bar. And bad posture is usually what causes people to want to set the bar on their necks because their shoulders are rounded forward, so they get into this position because that's what's comfortable for their shoulders. Realistically, we have to learn how to open up the chest to get this bar in a good position. And I have a video on shoulder pain that goes over some posture. If you want to check that out, I'll link that up in the top of this video right here. The next thing that we have to go over is foot position. And what we want to do is draw a line straight down from the outside of our hips because the foot needs to be on the total outside of that line, including the heel. If you're to do that on both sides, draw a line straight down from the hip, then put the foot entirely outside that, and then from there we slightly point the toes outward. When doing that, that's going to allow our knees to travel over our toes, and it's going to allow us to sink into the bottom of that squat and actually get sub-parallel so that our squats actually count.
Yes. Dang.
When I say so your squats actually count, what I mean is we have to have a couple things to build strength. Number one is the right amount of resistance, and then number two is range of motion. And full range of motion in a squat is going to be in a sub-parallel position. That's what's going to unwind the quads and unwind the glutes so we get full range of motion for that press with our legs. I don't recommend a pad on the neck, and I see a lot of people squatting with a pad. That's just gonna allow you to put it on your neck versus put it in a correct position. The pad spaces the bar out from your body, making it harder to get to that low bar position. So I don't recommend a pad. But let's put this all together. With the hooks in the swords in an appropriate position, you're gonna space the hands out as wide as you need to. When walking up to the bar, you're gonna put your chest to the bar with your feet below the bar. Then you're gonna sink to this sagging position here. That's gonna pull the shoulders up towards the ears. From here, I'm gonna stand, place the bar where I need it on my back, and stand from that position. From there, I'm gonna take a couple step backs. I'm gonna make sure my feet are outside my hips and my toes are slightly pointed outward. Then I'm gonna begin the descent. I'm going to break the hips back first, then I'm gonna start pushing the knees forward until I get to a sub-parallel position while my heels are still in contact with the ground. So it's going to look like this. Hips first, knees second, drive the knees forward, sub-parallel position, stand. Everything should happen at the same time. Your body should come down like an accordion to where we're not breaking this up into different movements. What we don't wanna do is 1, 2, 3. We want to make it smooth throughout that entire squat. Now I have to mention this again, and I have to say this as many times as I need to for people to sort of get the point here. You have to break parallel. And if you find that you cannot break parallel and make it back up with the barbell, you got to start with bodyweight squats. And I have a video on bodyweight squats that I'll link somewhere here. And you can check that video out on how to break parallel if you're having issues with your kinetics and you're unable to break parallel. You've got to get to the point where you're breaking parallel in bodyweight squats before you move to the barbell. A big problem in the gym is people not breaking parallel and just squatting shallow, and then adding more weight and squatting a little bit shallower, and then adding more weight and squatting a little bit shallower. As that happens, and I'm sure you guys have seen videos of people all over the internet doing squats about this much range, that doesn't matter. That's not going to increase strength. It's just not enough range of motion. So you got to get to the point where you're breaking parallel with your body weight before you put a barbell on your back. And as soon as you get the barbell on your back, you really want to progress slowly. You want to go up a little bit every time you squat. There's no sense in dramatically increasing the risk for injury while minimizing proper body mechanics, through muscle memory just because your ego comes into play and you think you should be stronger than what you are. You got to accept reality no matter how harsh that is, and then you got to move forward from there. Well, guys, that about sums it up. We went over how to set up the cage for safety. We went over hand position. We went over bar position on the back, and we went over the importance of breaking parallel and progressing slowly, which are really important. And now I just have to drive this point home again. At some point, everybody needs a barbell on their back. You're gonna be outside of the rep range for hypertrophy, which is increasing the size of the muscle, and for strength, which is actually increasing the tensile load that the muscle can carry. So those two things are important. And at some point, your normal body weight squats will not work anymore for those things, and you have to get a barbell on your back. Especially as we all get older, we want to maintain the maximum amount of strength with the maximum amount of muscle mass that we possibly can, because that's what's going to lead us through life easier and in a way to where we feel capable doing things. As popular as the bench press is, it's not nearly as functional as a squat. Not even in the same ballpark. You have to learn how to squat effectively if you want to take your fitness to a level that's useful outside of the gym. And that's why I do this. I want to be as useful as I can outside of the gym. I want to be as active with my kids as I possibly can. I want to be a good example for my community. And I just want to go through the world with confidence and strength. So what allows me to do that is lifting heavy weights. And I encourage you guys to lift heavy weights, whatever that means to you. All right, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this video or suggestions for future videos. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.